Hey guys, what's up? Hope you are good. As you've probably guessed from the title of this video, we're going to be looking at the Amazfit GTS 3, the Amazfit GTR 3, and the Amazfit GTR Pro. Oh my god, there's so many watches in my hand. I've used all of the previous versions of these smartwatches before, and I know I'm a little bit late to the punch with this, but I took a little break from making videos, but just like a new variant, I am back and I'm ready to go. So let's get into it right now. The reason you're probably watching this video is because you want to know the differences between the watches and which one you should get, which one is the better option. So I'm going to go straight into it right now. The Amazfit GTR 3 and GTS 3 are actually pretty much identical apart from the design. The GTS is the square design, S standing for square, and the GTR is the circular design, the R standing for round. These are kind of the main upgrades from the previous version. I used the GTS 2 and the GTR 2 last year, and they were great options. And just comparing the two side by side, yes, they look very different, but under the hood, there's not much difference there. The GTR 3 features a 1.39-inch AMOLED display with a pixel density of 326 pixels per inch, and a screen to body ratio of 66%. The GTS 3 features a 1.75-inch AMOLED display, that's 341 pixels per inch, and a screen to body ratio of 72.4%. All of the sensors are exactly the same, both featuring a third generation heart rate and SpO2 tracker, an accelerometer. They both feature internal GPS, so you can track your location without connecting to a phone. And otherwise, all of the features are exactly the same. They both feature Amazon Alexa. They both can track your sleep, can track stress levels, continuous heart rate monitoring. They both track up to 150 sports modes. Music control, menstrual cycle tracking, camera control, everything. All of the features of the watches are exactly the same. The only other difference is the battery life. Now, while the GTS 3 can claim to have the larger and higher resolution screen, it comes at a cost for battery life. The GTR 3 has a battery life of up to 21 days on a single charge. Now that is quite amazing, to be honest. Now, to get that, you do have to limit some things. You have to have the display set to turning off when you're not using it. You probably can't track both heart rate and SpO2 continuously. That will definitely put the battery life down. But compared with the GTS, the same settings would get you around about 12 days. So it's actually almost double the battery life for the GTR compared to the GTS. Either of those is great battery life. As long as something lasts for like 3 or 4 days at least, I'm happy. But 12 and 21 is amazing considering all of the things that these watches can do. Now, obviously, the biggest difference is the design. Square versus circular, what's going to be best for you. Even though the square design is technically bigger, I always find circular watches just to feel like they look bigger, or at least look bigger on your wrist. So it does stick out a little bit more on your wrist, but not by that much. It is noticeable. I think if you were going to be wearing very tight shirts, or you just have quite thin wrists and you don't like the feeling of a big watch on your wrist, then the GTR is definitely going to be a little bit more noticeable. Whereas the GTS, I tend to wear this more often because it feels lighter, it feels like it's smaller, and it just sits better on a thin wrist like I have. The GTR also has the appearance of a standard watch. You could get away with it looking like a normal watch. It even has these little watch face ticks on it. Whereas the GTS definitely is trying to look like it's a smartwatch. It's not trying to pretend to be anything else. In fact, it looks a lot like the Apple Watch, so that's definitely where the inspiration has come from. And I've had people ask me if this is an Apple Watch, and it's easily mistaken for one. So that is obviously a preference, a personal choice, whether you prefer square or round, whether you prefer bigger or smaller, whether you prefer to look like a smartwatch or to look like a normal watch. Now let's throw in the curveball, because I did mention there is one other watch here, the GTR Pro. Now this is a slightly different watch. There are some features in this watch that are not in either of the others. It's also got a little bit of a different design. Now obviously the closest comparison is with the GTR 3 and the GTR 3 Pro. The Pro version, which is this one, is slightly bigger than the GTR 3, with a 1.45-inch AMOLED display as opposed to 1.39-inch. It's also got a higher resolution of 480 by 480 pixels, which is the highest resolution of any of the 3 watches that I've shown you. It also features an extra sensor. It features a temperature sensor, so along with that 3rd generation heart rate and SpO2 tracker, it can also monitor your temperature now. I'm not sure how useful that actually is in reality. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be thinking that could be useful for tracking if you're unwell or something like that. And I guess in some ways it could, but remember, it's tracking your temperature from your wrist, not from inside your body, which is where you would monitor your temperature to see if you are unwell or not. Tracking your temperature on your wrist does not tell you whether you have a fever. So, take it with a pinch of salt. I think it's more for monitoring, I guess, workouts. How hot do you get during a workout? What is your outer body temperature rather than your inner body temperature? The other difference between the GTR 3 Pro and the other watches is that this can connect to Wi-Fi on its own. It also features a speaker and microphone, whereas the other 2 just feature microphones. You can make calls from this watch when connected to Bluetooth, whereas with the other watches you cannot do that. This watch also features internal memory. You can put your own music onto the watch and play without connecting to any other service or any other device. The other watches do not have any internal memory at all. In order to control music, you need to be connected to your phone, and then you can control music through that. All 3 smartwatches run off the Zepp OS. Now, this has been updated since the last series of watches. The biggest difference, I think, is that it now enables you to add new apps into your watch. Before, that was not possible, but you can create third-party apps and third-party watch faces. At the moment, there aren't really that many there. There's not going to be anything from any major company. It's very basic additions to software, but there are a few little apps there that you can add to your watches. All in all 3 of these smartwatches are pretty good value for what you get. I find the Amazfit line of smartwatches to generally be the best value for money, considering what they do, how long the battery lasts. Not the most accurate tracking, I will admit, in the world, but for general fitness, for going to the gym, cycling, running, marathons, that stuff like that, these are more than good enough to track your health, fitness, and see how you progress. If you want more features, if you want more smartwatch-like features and more apps, then go for an Apple Watch. If you want more accurate health, fitness tracking that's razor accurate and it's always going to check everything, then you need to go for either a Fitbit or a Garmin. But for an all-round good smartwatch, any of these 3 will do. I would personally go for the GTS 3. That's the one that I stick with just because I prefer the shape and the design. But if you're trying to decide between the GTR 3 and the GTR 3 Pro, for me, I don't think the GTR 3 Pro is worth that little bit extra for me personally, because I never make calls on my smartwatch. I never use speakers. I never play music straight from the smartwatch. If you wanted all of those things, then obviously then you know which one to get. But if you didn't care about those features, then the GTR 3 there would be perfect for you, and it's a good looking watch and works just as well in terms of everything else. That's it, guys. I hope that has been useful. I will certainly be back soon with some up-to-date reviews and smartwatch comparisons, and maybe some smartphones soon as well. So stick around, subscribe if you're into that, and I will see you next time. Bye.